Okay, let's start with a little warm-up. And the warm-up is, what is one thing that you're struggling with these days?
Ooh. One thing that I'm struggling with these days, which is something I'm always struggling with. I don't think it's like a new thing.
Okay. What's one thing? I'm going to tighten the vice a little bit. What's one thing that you're struggling with these days that have nothing to do with raising a child?
Right. So one thing I'm struggling with these days, it's not something new, is based on kind of upbringing and, I think conditioning and wiring and all that stuff. I have a really hard time celebrating myself and like finding real excitement and joy. And so with our like book coming out and kind of like potential of exciting
your
project.
birthday coming this Friday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to like be reminded by people in my life that these things are like exciting and worthy of like celebration. And there's a reason I think why I bring people into my life that I do. Like my best friend Danae is one of them, who is like this like giddy cheerleader, like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm like not like that, because
we all need a friend like that.
Because I like need her to emote for me.
So 2 quick questions before we get to your questions. One, where do you think that comes from? Why is it a struggle for you to celebrate yourself?
I think partly it's because I was like a parentified child, and so
taking care of others.
Yeah, and so the lack of play happened really early on. So dropping into that is difficult for me. But also, I'm like more of like and this also is parentified child, but like I'm more of like the linear planning for when things go wrong, waiting for the other shoe to drop, getting excited and lost in the moment of celebration of self, to me feels frivolous. It feels dangerous. Because it feels like, why bother getting excited about this thing when it could potentially go south, and then I'm going to feel stupid, or then I'm going to regret, feeling excited. Or
this is really interesting because Vanessa and I are opposites in a lot of ways, and so I'm the youngest as far as sibling position. I grew up with an umbrella, so my brother being the oldest, shielding me from responsibilities, and so I have no problem celebrating myself. In fact, I think I celebrate myself too much. Fridays, coconut oil. No, like if something comes, like I'll go grab the mail, and if it's a good piece of mail, let's celebrate. Anything that happens, let's celebrate. Let's go out to eat, stuff like that, and so. I wonder if for me, because celebrating for me can be almost a way to escape. There's addiction in my blood, so celebration to me is a fine line, because it could be unhealthy for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem being like, yeah, let's go to dinner and celebrate this thing. I actually think it's more of like an internal sense of celebration of self. So,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
it's like I can externally celebrate. Like, you don't need to give me any excuse to go to a restaurant. Clearly, it's like food is my love language. Yeah. But it's this feeling of joy. And also part of my work is realizing that like I most likely will not ever be the kind of person that like runs into the room and is like, oh my God. It's just not part of my personality at this stage in the game, being almost 40. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be that person. And so for me, I think the work is just being really aware of what I'm not allowing myself to feel, or, just getting like really intimate with the kind of internal sensation around
Okay,
it.
so now I have something to tighten as far as tightening a vice. So my question to you is this: because you don't celebrate yourself a lot, and you're not like you said, you don't run into the room and like you
jump up and down,
wave your hands in the air. And I'm also not like a smiley person as well, right? But because of that, I wonder. In romantic relationships, does that affect that as well? So you're not gonna kick the door down and jump on me, that kind of does your excitement in romantic relationships manifest in a different way because you're not like the whole cheery hands in you, which is ironic because you used to be a cheerleader.
Well, but that's different though. I mean, you've seen, like, I'm still a bubbly person. I'm still talkative and I laugh easily and I'm very easily amused. Like,
but you're grounded.
But I'm very grounded.
Yeah.
And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? I mean, I'm also a Taurus, and I've spent many, many years practicing mindfulness and meditation. So there's a component to that I actually like about myself, So I don't know what the answer is. It's like, what is the balance between being a very grounded person and being somebody who can just be like jumping up and down in pure excitement? I'm not sure. How does it manifest in my relationship? I mean, I actually think I have a hard time even celebrating my partner.
Me? She doesn't celebrate me.
In this instance, you. Not that I don't celebrate you. I think I have a hard time, like, I'm not a words of affirmation person.
Right. That's more of a love language thing.
But also, like, that's for myself. Like, I have a hard time with words of affirmation for myself. So, of course, I would also have a hard time with words of affirmation for you, right? Like, I have a really hard time being like, oh my God, you're phenomenal. You did this wonderful thing. Like, it's so difficult for me to say it to both myself and to others. And not just you, my friend relationships. The only person I don't find myself having a hard time with words of affirmation is with Logan. It comes very easily for me.
See, that kind of makes me jealous. And it also makes me feel like, well, if you have the ability to do it, why aren't you pointing that at me? Because if it comes naturally why is it that it comes naturally for Logan?
I don't know, maybe it's deeper than that. It probably has something to do with like fear, abandonment issues, like all the things that go underneath romantic relationships. And
Logan's not going to leave you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that simple, but I think our relationship is so unfiltered, raw. There's no prior baggage because of past hurts and relationships. Like, it's very unfiltered and pure.
Logan's a clean canvas.
Yeah, it's pure.
Nothing's tied.
And she's pure, so, it's like a clean slate on this planet.
I think many people, that's why they're so loving to their animals, and they will do anything for their animals.
Right.
Then when it comes to their partner, they're like...
I read something about that. Like, is true unconditional love is the only time... The headline was like, is the love with our pets really the only experience we will ever have of unconditional love? And I was like, I mean, if what we're talking about is true, then yeah, probably. No
how can I celebrate you more? No. That sounds that's coming from me. How do you want to be celebrated by me? Besides the $40 chocolate cake I just ordered for you for your birthday. Besides food. Yeah. How do you want to be celebrated by me?
I actually think you do a really good job at celebrating me. I think you and Danae both being in my life are very important. I have other friends that are like that too, but verbally telling me the things that I have a hard time accessing about myself. I think, and I probably have said something similar before, the words of affirmation that land the hardest for me, meaning the best, like recently in my Mother's Day card, you wrote something along the lines of like, I see how hard you work. Mm-hmm. Oh, and that makes me emotional.
Why? I do see how hard you work. Come back. Come back. I do see how hard you work, and sometimes it makes me feel guilty, but I see you with Logan. I see when you're with our daughter, everything goes away. She's front and center. So it checks me often.
That feels like a more powerful words of affirmation than like, you're beautiful, you're amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think...
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to hear that I'm beautiful, but... I just think that's, and maybe again, like, because I am an acts of service person, and I'm like that left brain, like, I got to be the one that takes care of everybody. Like, it almost feels better to hear the recognition of what I'm constantly doing in my mind all the time.
So like maybe that's how you want to be celebrated, is acknowledged for the hard work that you do, or for the lack of sleep and, pushing through the day. Maybe a lot of that has gone unseen in your life. So you being celebrated means me acknowledging your hard work. And not just Logan, hard work with this book, hard work with whatever you are doing,
Yeah. Ooh, I was not planning on getting emotional, you guys.
I think it's easy to forget in the day-to-day to acknowledge things about your partner, and you shouldn't hear that on a Mother's Day card once a year. I should be saying that to you more often. That I acknowledge all your hard work and everything that you do to hold the house up, to raise our daughter. To be safe, to be a safe tree, and to keep the ship moving.
Little PDA, guys.
All right, fuck your questions. Let's just talk about ourselves. Hey,
this is apparently a therapy session between the two of us. You guys are just witnessing it.
Quick. I'm gonna insert a little ad real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah.
This is sponsored by BetterHelp. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We have a brand new book out, and it's on pre-order. And Vanessa may get angry for saying this, offering this, but I do these little things where I plant golden wrappers, kind of like imagine that I am a Korean Willy Wonka. And the golden wrapper I want to plant to you is if you pre-order our book, you will not only get a seat in our live book club. We are launching a book club before the book comes out, so you will get an ebook emailed to you. But you could DM us on social media, and we will audio answer your question. There's a few hundred, so if you're patient, but we will get to every single one, and we knock them out pretty fast. So pre-order our book, and we will audio answer your question via DM,
send a picture,
Instagram, and you could choose who you want to.
But send a picture. I don't know if you said that. Send a picture of the receipt because we need that for our people as well. So send a picture of your receipt of the pre-order and then your question. And then to either one of us, doesn't matter, whatever one you feel like you want the kind of, feedback on or from.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to your questions. We have 3.
Okay.
All right.
This should be an easy one, if you will, because we both have very clear stances on this. My boyfriend and I still haven't said I love you. I'm ready. How long should I wait?
Real quick, let me just answer. Someone says, how do I sign up for the book club? Go to any of our bio links and click on It's Not Me, It's You, the book, and just send us DM, email us the receipt, and you are in the book club. And then we'll send you
the email of the person who's going to be kind of responsible. Sorry, Lucille.
It's a little bit of a
well, we've never done it before, so we're kind of figuring it out as we go. Yeah. If you send us the receipt image, we will send you the person's info that's going to be letting you know about the book club details.
We will send smoke signals on May.
The bat signal will go off. Yeah. Okay. So my boyfriend and I still haven't said I love you. I'm ready. How long should I wait? You shouldn't wait.
Yeah,
that's my answer. Stop waiting.
My answer's kind of mean, and it's a question, and it's what are we in high school? No, I'm just kidding.
It's kind of mean, but it's true in the sense of like
holding on to basically playing chess, right? So
strategizing.
If you feel something, just say it.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's vulnerable. You might not get the return, but if you're setting up the pattern of what you go first and then I'll go, then the relationship is gonna be contingent. It's gonna be a chess game, right? So let go of that.
Also, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that if you say it first, he's gonna say, I don't feel the same way, and the relationship's gonna end? Because then you're currently in a relationship with somebody. Like, do you even want to be in that relationship then to begin with, right? Like, start questioning the reason why there's fear there, and what kind of relationship you really want to have, right? Like, I don't know if it's just season in my life, but I'm in this place in my life where I'm like, I'm not fucking waiting anymore, man. Like, this is my one life. I'm so over like tiptoeing around, waiting for somebody else's response, strategizing how I show up based on no.
Vanessa looked me in the eye and said, I love you before dessert came on our first date.
So not true, by the way.
And I said, wow. It's a little fast, but I respect the transparency.
It's not how it happened.
And then my return didn't come until last week, so we're 4 years in. And she's okay with that. So.
Not how it happened.
Okay, next question.
My partner has a much larger sexual past than I was led to believe. How do I overcome this?
So this is actually really common, and my go-to answer is... Yeah, you can't...
We're being very mean today, but I'm kind of here for it.
You can't hang someone's sexual history over their head.
Right.
Who they were, how they behaved before they met you.
Has nothing to do with you.
Has nothing to do with you. You have to accept them for who they are now.
Now, here's the thing. Where I'm assuming somebody's going to go with this is, yes, but if they lied about it to me, then is that like some kind of indicator of their character? Like, Are they not trustworthy? And so that I can understand, and I'm still going to rebuttal that with more questions. Think about it from their perspective. Are they ashamed Do they maybe not admit to it because they're embarrassed and they wanted you to see them in a certain light and not see them in a certain light, right? I think if we can approach this with curiosity and with compassion for the why, it becomes less about like, oh, this person's clearly a liar, and more about like, maybe there's some shame there. And if I'm compassionate around that, then I can have a deeper conversation with my partner that actually has nothing to do with the amount of sexual experience they have, but has more to do with their relationship to shame and embarrassment just in general. What an amazing, intimate, vulnerable conversation that could lead to such a deeper understanding and respect for each other as people.
There's a line of ownership in that, oh, before you met me, you had, X amount of partners. Okay, that doesn't fit into my should or narrative. What a girlfriend, boyfriend looks like. Let's talk about this. Explain. Give me an explanation, which you don't have to, right?
Right.
I feel like it's a privilege for you to hear your partner's sexual past story, and if you don't hold it with two hands, chances are they're not going to trust you and say other things. So now they're going to hide shit from you. Yep. So that being said, but also look, I'm human. I understand. It's easier for me to say this at age 49 than when I was 20, because when I was 20, of course, I was jealous, I was controlling. If someone had a sexual past that I didn't see as quote unquote normal or healthy, then I would judge it. So
I also think this leads into this idea of like that we somehow are owed something by the people that we choose to be in relationship with. Neither one of you owes either person anything. Like, we're not owed anything. You don't own me. I don't own you. This is going into a relationship with some kind of like currency. Like, it's an exchange-based relationship. So many of our relationships, this is codependency. Like, so many of our relationships are based on an exchange. I give you this, you give me this, right? And that is not the way to build an intimate relationship, right? This is so much what I'm working on with myself and with couples around moving from codependency to interdependency, is like, you don't own them. They don't owe you anything.
Hey, I want to insert something real quick. This is called a message in a bottle. I used to do it often when I was a nonprofit and blogging. The mailman just waved to me, and the other day he waved to me and said, hey, I listened to your podcast because my garage door is open, and he saw the poster on the wall. And so if he's listening to this, he's going to be like, oh, I just waved to him the other day, and
Inception.
now I'm hearing it as I'm going on a walk, thinking about my own life. Anyway, to the mailman, thank you for waving at us and our mail and the service.
Taking care of us.
Yeah, service you do. Okay, so next question. This is the last one.
This one's kind of funny to me. Is it normal to feel like being in a relationship is more stressful than being single?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And hey, let's...
that is very normal.
And when we're single, it's like all we want to do is be in a relationship, but it's like we play back, what it's going to be like to kiss someone and to do nothing with someone, and I want someone to go eat with, and all these great things, but you don't play back when you're single all the hard shit that comes in having a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The activation.
That's the thing. I think a lot of us think that relationships are going to come in and be this like balm for our souls, and that's actually not the purpose of relationships. Whether we're talking romantic relationships, any relationship, that is actually not the purpose. Relationships are here to challenge us and help us grow.
It sounded like you said balm.
Balm.
Like lip balm.
Balm, yeah. Okay. Balm for our soul, like a soothing balm, right?
Bengay.
Yes, and that is again, that's kind of like a sickness of our culture. It's like the expectation that like, it's the Jerry Maguire, you complete me bullshit. We expect relationships to be rainbows and butterflies. We don't look at relationships as an amazing opportunity to grow and dig deeper into ourselves, but unfortunately we can't do that without some harsh mirror looking, right? And so, I found it to be way easier being single than being in relationships.
Easier, but also, what did you enjoy about being single?
I didn't always have to own my shit. I didn't have that mirror constantly held up to me. I could just do me all the time. I could be selfish. I could be avoidant as hell. I could, go out and meet a guy and take him home and like not question like the why, or like, why am I doing that? Why am I self-soothing this? None of that shit. You know what I mean? It's like the famous Ram Dass quote when he says, if you think you're an enlightened being, go spend a weekend with your family. right? The point is that you can be a monk sitting in a cave somewhere by yourself and think that you're enlightened. The second you go home and you're around relationships, it reminds you that you're not enlightened.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a family relationships is a whole nother level.
In general, relationships, period. Like that's the purpose they serve, I guess is my point.
Singlehood. There are pros and cons, but I'm always encouraged to, or reminding myself to give singlehood a cape, because I think in our world, singlehood is labeled as defective. You're not complete. You're less than. What's wrong with you? And yes, of course, there are moments of singlehood where you are lonely. You're experiencing loneliness. Not you are lonely, but you're experiencing the feeling of it. And of course, there are times that you want to do nothing with someone, or to, share your body and all that. But overall, man, if you're single now and you're listening to this or watching this, you're not going to be single forever. So there's a limited. The ticking clock isn't your age. It's the fact that you won't be single forever. So take advantage of this time and go do whatever. Travel, go learn new things.
Watch whatever you want on TV.
Yeah.
There's no arguments over the remote control or what restaurant.
Let's end with one concept from our book, which comes out in September, but it's available now for pre-order. One of the concepts in our book, do you want me to pick or do you want to pick?
You pick.
We talk a lot about swimming past the breakers. And in our book, we go through this not only with stories from our clients, but with ourselves. And so one of the themes in our relationship is we had to both swim past the breakers. The breakers is the shore break, the chaos, right? The waves. Beyond that, the ocean is pretty calm. It's the breakers that make us think that the ocean is crazy rocky. So what were the breakers for you, right? And then how did you swim past them with us? So and if you can make it kind of quick. The first breaker for her, I'll tell you, was my ambivalence.
Yeah.
So the breaker for me was not being immediately and kind of unequivocally chosen. So in my previous relationships, whether they were healthy or not, I always knew that I was chosen, that I was desired, that I was adored. I actually had a client use that word the other day, and I was like, ooh, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, I knew that I was adored, and I didn't feel that with you, and it was an immediate sense of like, oh, well, clearly this isn't it. But then when I realized that I had had that experience in all my prior relationships, and clearly they had not panned out the way that I kind of wanted them to, it forced me to stick around and swim a little bit harder or deeper.
Do you think sometimes couples, one chooses the other in stretches, and then it flips, and then the other person, it's almost like, when you're in a relationship and one person wants a kid and the other one doesn't, and then it flips and that person wants a kid.
Pursuer distancer, right?
Yeah,
pursuer distancer is a really common thematic that shows up in relationships.
Because with us, I find today, like I'm more attracted to you today than ever before, and I find myself choosing you, thinking about you constantly. When we first started, speaking of singlehood, I was on my singlehood journey, and I was skipping along, and I wanted to do a lot of things that I didn't get to do in my 20s, and so because I've been in relationships most of my life, and so I just happened to meet Vanessa at an unexpected time. And I wasn't done, I don't know if it's sowing my oats, but I wasn't done being single. And so that was part of the ambivalence. I thought, oh shit, now if I commit to Vanessa, this is it. Because I didn't want to have another, 3-4 year relationship. I thought whoever I meet next is going to be the person that I build a life with, right? And possibly have a child with. And so that was scary for me. Yeah. And so that's why there was that whole push, I love you, get away. So that was a breaker for her. For me, one of the breakers that I had to swim past was our difference in love languages. So words of affirmation, that kind of thing. Vanessa is more acts of service. So that difference was new to me, and I had to swim past that. And it doesn't mean to ignore it. It means to look at it, to understand it, to adjust, to see the good in it, right? To see that there's actually there's beauty in the contrast, which is also something we talked about in the book. And then swimming past that, of course, made me accept her more. So instead of throwing color dye at what's different and marking it and labeling and judging it, instead seeing our differences as beautiful and as complementary. So, question for you as we leave: what is it? Whether you're in a relationship now or your last relationship, what does swimming past the breakers look like for you? What is something that you are working through that you know if you swim past, it's going to produce more glue and the relationship will have more legs? It will be healthier, it will be better, it will be stronger if you swim past this. So not ignore, but work through. And also, if you're not in a relationship, then maybe your friendships, right? This is something that applies to any relationship. Okay, all right. We will catch your questions via audio DM, and we will see you in our book club live on Zoom. And it starts when?
May
25th-ish. Last week of May. Yep, and you'll get our book via email, ebook, before it even comes out.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening.